Good evening, one and all. I welcome you all to Ganesh IAS Academy. In today's session, we'll be seeing environment-based current affairs from the date September 1st to September 7th, 2023. So let us get into the news articles one by one. The first news for the day is funga. What is this funga? Why is it in the news? We might have known these terms, that is flora and fauna. Similarly, now we have funga. So what is funga? It is related to fungi. Okay. So why are they promoting this particular term? Those details we must have to understand. Funga. Recently, United Nations Biodiversity, it is a conference. It has urged people globally to use the word funga whenever they say flora and fauna. So whenever people are going to use the terms like flora and fauna, they are advised to use this term funga along with it. Why? To highlight the importance of fungi. So that is the reason, because fungus plays an important role in an ecosystem, or it is an important part of a ecology, a biodiversity. Okay, so UN Biodiversity urged to use the word funga, and in its own words, it is saying that it is time for fungi to be recognized and protected on an equal footing with animals and plants in legal conservation frameworks. So fungi must also be given equal recognition and protection along with animals and plants in all legal conservation frameworks. This is the main objective of bringing this proposal. Next is this the first time that such a term is given a push? No, even earlier, Species Survival Commission of IUCN has announced that it would use mycologically inclusive language. What is mycology here? Mycology means scientific study of fungi. Mycology. So what this commission has said, it said that it would use mycologically inclusive language in its internal and public facing communications, and to incorporate fungi in conservation strategies with rare and endangered plants and animal species. Generally, IUCN is concerned about endangered plants and animal species. Now they are saying, in this commission, they have said even mycologically inclusive language will be used. Okay, which means even fungi will be taken as an important component for conservation strategies. Next, there would be no life on earth without fungi. For example, you have yeast, mold and mushrooms, and they all play a critical role in decomposition and forest regeneration, mammalian digestion, carbon sequestration and global nutrient cycle and antibiotic medication. So all these applications we will see in detail in upcoming slides. We know that there are 6 kingdoms of life. What are they? Animals, plants, fungi, protista, eubacteria and archaebacteria. Archaebacteria is the oldest bacteria. Okay, so these are the 6 kingdoms of life. So in this we can observe that fungi is itself a separate kingdom. Okay, and it is distinct from plant and animal. So these are the important characteristics of fungi. Let us understand it in detail. Fungi or fungus is a diverse group of eukaryotic microorganisms. What is eukaryotic? Eukaryotic means the one which has true nuclei and membrane bound cell organelles. So there must be membrane bound cell organelle, and then it will be complex. The organelles will be complex, and it will also be having a true nucleus. Only then it is eukaryotic. The opposite of this is prokaryotic. The best example for prokaryotic would be bacteria. Okay, so fungi, it is a eukaryotic organism and it belongs to their own biological kingdom. As we saw in the previous slide, fungi itself is a biological kingdom which is distinct from plants, animals and bacteria. Okay, next, it is a heterotrophic organism. Okay, the second characteristic is it is heterotrophic. What is heterotrophic? Heterotrophic is opposite of autotrophic. Autotrophic means the organisms which produce their own food is called as autotrophic. But here heterotrophic means they are primarily decomposers and saprophytes. So they do not produce their own food, but then they depend on other animals for their food. And what are saprophytes? Those organisms which obtain nutrients by absorbing organic matter from their surroundings. Those are called as saprophytes. So those organisms which absorb organic matters from their surroundings and then they extract nutrients from them. Okay, such organisms are called as saprophytic organism, and fungus are saprophytic. Next is they secrete enzyme. So you have this organic matter, but then there are chances that the organic matters are complex in nature. So it has to be broken down into simpler, smaller components. Okay, so to convert it into simpler substances, they secrete enzymes, and these enzymes will break down the complex organic compounds, and these simpler substances are easily absorbed by these fungi. So that is the role of enzymes here. Okay, so these are the characteristics of fungi. So they are eukaryotic, they are heterotrophic, and then they secrete enzymes for absorption of nutrients. Next, what are the benefits of fungi? Nutrient cycling. Fungi can convert nutrients to make them accessible to plants. Okay, so they are decomposers. Why they are decomposers? Because they are going to break down organic matter, thereby enhancing nutrient cycling and soil fertility. So the organic matter is broken down and then the nutrient cycling is done efficiently with the help of this fungi, and it also paves way for soil fertility improvement. Okay, next, carbon cycling and climate regulation. How is it going to help in carbon cycling? Same thing here. They are going to decompose organic matter and then they are acting as soil carbon storage. They help in soil carbon storage and cycling carbon from dead plants. So how is this going to be done? They form a symbiotic relationship with plant roots. Okay, so what is symbiosis? When an organism is in a long-term relationship with another organism of a different species and then they coexist mutually, that is called as symbiosis. So by forming a symbiotic relationship with plant roots, they are going to achieve this carbon cycling, and the best example for this is mycorrhizal fungi. Mycorrhiza is the fungus name, and it is also called mycorrhizal fungi. Okay, so it forms a symbiotic relationship with plant roots which will aid in nutrient uptake. Okay, how is this nutrient uptake is done? By decomposition of organic matter. Okay, so this is one benefit. Another thing is fungi as food. Yes, it has numerous beneficial applications. First thing is yeast. We are using yeast in baking and brewing, and we also have antibiotics produced from fungi. The best example for that is penicillin. And then some fungi like mushrooms and truffles, they are edible and they are prized in cuisines. And then there are other molds. Molds are also fungi which are used in cheese production. So all of these will form part of food. Okay, so fungi is also used as food. Next is environmental protection. How is fungi going to help environmental protection? Like we already saw, it helps in decomposition or degradation. Degrade what? Pollutants are getting degraded. So when pollutants are degraded, it is obviously beneficial to the environment. So this is how it is going to help environmental protection. So they help degrade various pollutants from the environment like plastic and other petroleum based products, pharmaceuticals and personal care products, and also oil. Okay, so when these pollutants are degraded, it is going to help the environment. So these are the benefits. So we saw the benefits of fungi. Are there any harmful effects or negative effects of fungi? Yes, there are. First thing is human and animal disease. It causes variety of disease in human and animals. The best example for that is athlete's foot, which is caused by dermatophytes, and then ringworm, histoplasmosis, aspergillosis. These are the common diseases which are caused by fungi. And there are certain fungi which causes toxic, which releases toxic compounds known as mycotoxin. So wherever you see the term myco, then it is related to fungus. So we also saw mycology, right? Mycology is study of fungi. So similarly, mycotoxin means toxins released by fungus, and when these toxins are contaminated in food, then it may lead to health problems when consumed. Next is crop and plant diseases. Not only human and animal diseases, even crop and plant diseases are caused by fungal pathogens, and the best example for that is rust, powdery mildew, and then fungal blights. These are the best example for crop and plant disease caused by fungus. Next, there are also allergic reactions because of fungal spores. So what are spores here? Actually, fungi reproduce through an asexual mode of reproduction with the help of spores. Okay, so these spores are actually allergens. In few people, it causes allergy. So in indoor environments with high humidity, these spores causes or triggers allergies and respiratory problems. And the conditions like allergic rhinitis, allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis are associated with fungal allergens. So fungal spore is an allergen. So these basic statements must be there in your mind. Okay. Next, biodegradation of material. It also causes biodegradation of material. When it is going to cause biodegradation of pollutants, then that is useful to the environment. But if it is going to cause biodegradation of useful material, then it is a problem here. Okay, so it can break down materials such as textiles, leather, and paper. Okay, so if they are not properly preserved and stored, then it may be detrimental to these materials. So that is how it is going to affect the materials. Okay, biodegradation of materials. So these are the important things about fungi which we must know. Okay, the next thing is red sand bow. What is this red sand bow? Why is it in the news? Let us understand. It is a type of snake, but why is it in the news? Recently, a report by Wildlife Conservation Society India titled Illegal Trade of Red Sand Bow in India 2016 to 2021 has exposed the trade of red sand bow. So illegal trade of red sand bow, this particular variety of snake is happening. So this alarming revelation underscores the pressing concern about the illegal trade and also the urgency for conservation efforts need to be taken. Okay, so what is red sand bow and what are the highlights of the report, we'll understand. So the report says that 172 incidents of seizures involving red sand bow between 2016 and 2021 have taken place. Okay, and of these 172, 59 cases are from Maharashtra alone, and then 33 cases are from Uttar Pradesh. So these two states rank 1 and 2 in the highest number of cases. Okay, so even in urban areas of Maharashtra like Thane, Mumbai, suburban areas, and Pune, they are illegally traded. And other than that, when it comes to Uttar Pradesh, then it is those districts in the Nepal's border like Baraich and then Lakhimpur Kheri. These districts are notable for illegal trade of red sand bow. Okay, so let us understand further more details about red sand bow. Red sand bow, also called as Indian sand bow, is a non-venomous species. Very important, it is a non-venomous species. Next, its average length is 75 centimeter and it is reddish brown in color. And this point is important. Unlike most snakes, the tail is almost as thick as the body. Okay, so it gives the appearance of being double-headed. So when you see the snake, then we cannot distinguish between which is head and which is tail. So if you see, you cannot distinguish between which is head and which is tail. This is one of the unique characteristics of red sand bow. Next, it is the largest of the sand bow in the world, and it is nocturnal in behavior, which means it will be active only after the sun sets. Okay, so and it spends maximum of the time underground. These points are important. Next, what is its distribution? It is found in the whole of India excluding northeastern states and then North Bengal. Except North Bengal and northeastern states, everywhere else you can find this red sand bow. Other than that, it is also not found in Indian islands. It is not found in Indian islands. Important. Okay, be it Andaman and Nicobar or Lakshadweep. Next, status. Its IUCN status is near threatened. Its size status is kept under Appendix 2, and then under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it is placed in Schedule 4. Okay, so these details are important from your exam point of view. Next, what are all the threats to red sand bow? First thing is expansion of human settlements and activities. Anthropogenic activities are the main reasons. Next, it is also traded as a pet. Okay, since it is a non-venomous species, it is traded as a pet, and it is also used in black magic, which is important. Okay, next, it is poached for perceived medicinal benefits. There are claims that it has medicinal benefits, so that is why it is being poached. Next, we saw that the report has been released by Wildlife Conservation Society, India. So what is this Wildlife Conservation Society that we need to know? It is a Section 25 company. What is a Section 25 company? A non-profit organization under the Companies Act is called as Section 25 company, and these are the associations having objects to promote commerce, art, science, religion, charity, and any other useful purpose, and not having any profit motive. Okay, so such organizations or such associations is called as Section 25 company, and this Wildlife Conservation Society demonstrates a strong commitment to conservation, and it operates in full compliance with Indian regulation, emphasizing its dedication to preserving the country's natural environment and its rich biodiversity. Okay, so such statements can be directly asked in your prelims examination. Next, the next topic for the day is invasive alien species. Why is it in the news? Let us get into the details. Invasive alien species. Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, they have recently released a report called Assessment Report on Invasive Alien Species and Their Control. Okay, so what is this report highlighting? It sheds light on alarming proliferation of invasive alien species worldwide and their devastating impact on global biodiversity. So, how are alien species going to affect global biodiversity, and how are they spreading in a rapid manner? So, that is what is being highlighted by this particular report. Okay, so let us get into the details of the report, and also we'll understand what is invasive species in detail. What is invasive species? They are also called as invasive exotic species. Invasive alien. Alien means foreign. Invasive. Why is it invasive? Let us understand. So these are the organisms. They are also called as non-native species. Okay. So those organisms that have been introduced into a region or ecosystem outside of their native range. Each and every organisms will be having their own native range, but if they are introduced into a region or ecosystem outside their native range, then that is, such species are called as invasive alien species, and they are established as a self-sustaining population. This is also important. So when a new organism is going to be introduced in a newer environment, then there are many chances that they degrade or they get depleted in their in their population, but they are establishing self-sustaining population. This is a unique property exhibited by invasive alien species. So this statement stands for this term, alien. Okay, why is it invasive? Because these species often outcompete native species. That is why it is invasive. Okay. So they cause invasion. So they outcompete native species and it will disrupt the balance of the ecosystem. So when an ecosystem's balance is disrupted, then that is called as invasion. Okay. And it leads to a range of negative impacts. What are the negative impacts and what are the factors responsible for the growth of invasive species? We have to know. And what are the highlights of this particular report? That we'll know. First of all, we must know the scale of the problem of invasion of alien species. First thing is, this report reveals the presence of approximately 37,000 alien species introduced by human activities, and of these 37,000, 3,500 are classified as invasive alien species. Okay, these 37,000 are alien species, but these 3,500 are invasive alien species, which means they are going to disrupt the ecosystem. Okay, and they pose severe threat to the local ecosystem. And of these 3,500, 6% is plants, 22% is invertebrates, 14% vertebrates, and 11% alien microbes. Okay, so these details are important. So from this, you must have to understand that invasive species are not only plants. Okay, there are also vertebrates, invertebrates, and microorganisms. Every other thing is considered as invasive. So the basic concept is, when they are relocated from their native region to another region, then that is called as alien species, and when they are going to disrupt the ecosystem, then they become invasive alien species. Okay, so this is the concept. So what are all the major or leading invasive species? The best example for this is water hyacinth. This is water hyacinth. It ranks as the world's most widespread invasive alien species on land. Okay, so that is the world's most widespread. So it ranks number 1. Number 2 is lantana. Lantana is a flowering shrub, and then comes number 3, that is black rat. Okay, and then you also have brown rat and house mouse, which are widespread invaders. So the first one is water hyacinth, which has to be kept in mind. They generally grow in ponds, so they tend to consume all the nutrients which are available in that pond ecosystem. Thus, it will deplete nutrients which are available for other native species. So this is how it is causing a disruption in that ecosystem. Okay. Next is, what are the perceived benefits versus negative impacts? So do they really have any benefits, or those benefits are just perception of people who have introduced it to the new area? Many invasive alien species were intentionally introduced for perceived benefits in sectors such as forestry, agriculture, horticulture, aquaculture, and even as pets. Okay, but they have not considered the negative impacts on biodiversity and the local ecosystem. And invasive alien species have played a significant role in 60% of documented global plant and animal extinction. Statements like this are very important. You can use these in your answer writing, mains answer writing directly. Okay. Next, these species are now recognized as one of the 5 primary drivers of biodiversity loss. Okay. What are the other 4? They are land and sea use change, direct exploitation of organism, climate change, and pollution. And then comes invasive alien species, the 5th one. Okay. So these points are very important. Regional distribution. How are invasive alien species distributed worldwide? 34% is found in Americas, 31% in Europe and Central Asia, 25% in Asia and Pacific, and about 7% from Africa. So this is the global distribution. So the first 2 you can remember, that is, the first comes the Americas, both North and South, and then 31% in Europe and Central Asia. Okay. The majority of the negative impacts occur on land, especially in forest, woodlands, and cultivated areas. This point is also important. So when we compare between aquatic ecosystem and land ecosystem, that is terrestrial ecosystem, the majority of negative impacts of invasive alien species is there in terrestrial ecosystem. Okay. Next, invasive alien species are most damaging on islands. This is also important. The next fact is important. See that On more than 25% of all islands, the number of alien plants now exceed the native plants. Okay, so on more than 25% of all islands, the number of alien plants is exceeding the number of native plants. So, okay, so these facts are very important. So what are all the factors responsible for the rising invasive species? First thing is globalization of trade and travel. Increased international trade and travel have facilitated the unintentional movement of species across the borders. We already saw that intentionally it has been introduced into newer environments, but then because of trade and travel, unintentionally there is movement of species across borders, and through cargo ships, airplanes and vehicles, and also through ballast water, and even certain organisms get attached to the base of the vessels and then they get transported to other areas, newer areas. So the best example for this is introduction of black rat in Australia, okay, in 1800s. This black rat is regarded as one of the world's worst invasive species by IUCN, okay. So globalization and trade is one main reason. Next is climate change. How is climate change going to impact or going to cause a bloom in invasive alien species? That is because elevated temperature and shifts in precipitation pattern along with shifts in timing of seasons. All these factors will cause a disruption or it will cause a disturbance to the native species. Okay, so when native species are going to get disturbed, or when they become weak and susceptible to the changes that is happening, then these invasive species will easily invade them. Okay, so there will be higher competition from this invasive species, okay, and they will act as predators. Next, human introduction of exotic species. We already saw this point that for the purpose of gardening, landscaping and pest control, certain species of certain invasive species are introduced into newer environments. So climate change is also a reason for increase in invasive species. Next, what are all the impacts of invasive alien species? First thing is ecological impact, okay. Some invasive species may become predators of native species, thus causing decline in prey population. So certain species become predators. Predation means when one organism is going to consume on another organism or going to kill another organism, okay, and these disruption can have a far-reaching consequence on ecosystem stability and resilience, okay. Even the ability of that ecosystem to come back will be hampered. Next is economic impacts. Annual cost of invasive alien species have quadrupled every decade since 1917. Okay, so it has increased 4 times. And in 2019, 423 billion US dollars is the global economic cost of these species. So how are they going to impact economically? See this example. Species like zebra mussels can clog water pipes and infrastructures. So when water pipes and other infrastructures are clogged, then it may lead to expensive repairs and maintenance. For these repairs and maintenance, fund is needed, money is needed. So that is how economic impacts are there. Next is impact on food supply. Reduction of food supply is the most common consequence of alien invasive species. How? Because they are going to damage fisheries. One main reason, okay. The best example here is Caribbean false mussel, which damages fisheries in Kerala, okay. Next, health implications. There are certain species like Aedes albopictus and Aedes aegypti. These are mosquitoes, okay. So they spread disease like malaria, Zika virus, West Nile virus, which impact human health. And another best example is, which we already saw, that is water hyacinth in Lake Victoria has led to depletion of a particular variety of fish called tilapia, okay, and it is impacting the local fisheries. So this is how it is going to impact fisheries, and it is also going to impact human health, okay. Next, are there any international instruments or international conventions to control these invasive species? Yes, there are. very specific conventions, and also other conventions which are in their sidelines. They are going to address this issue. First thing is Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework in the year 2022. Last year it has been done, and here in this convention, governments have committed to reduce the rate of introduction and establishment of invasive alien species by at least 50% by the year 2030. All these numbers are important. 50% by the year 2030, and they have committed to reduce the rate of introduction and establishment of invasive alien species. So since it is in the year 2022, this becomes important. And then earlier there were convention on biological diversity in the year 1992, which has been adopted at the Rio Earth Summit. Okay, and this convention recognizes invasive species as the major threat to environment, second only to habitat destruction. So a major threat to environment is habitat destruction, and then comes invasive alien species according to this convention. And then there is Convention on Conservation of Migratory Species, CMS, in the year 1979, and this convention includes measures to control or eliminate invasive alien species which are already present. Okay, and then there is Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, which happened in the year 1975, and even in this convention it considers the impact of invasive species involved in trade. So invasive species involved in trade, those impacts are addressed using this particular convention. Okay, so these are the important topics with respect to this invasive alien species. I hope you found the session to be very useful and informative. With this, we are coming to conclusion of this particular session. Let us see in the next session. Thank you.